V'atah tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael, and you should command b'nei Yisrael v'ikchu elecha, and take for you shemen zayis zach kasis la'maor lahalos ner tamid, pure olive oil, the purest of the pure, when it comes to the olive oil that is going to be used to light the menorah in the Mishkan. Medrash points out that Klal Yisrael, that the Jewish people, are nimshalu lezayis, or compared to zayis. Quotes a pasuk in Yirmiyah, where Yirmiyahu seems to compare Bnei Yisrael to the zayis, and a comment of the Gemara in Menachos and Daf Nun Gimel Amud Beis that requires a little bit of explanation. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, Lama nimshalu Yisrael lezayis. Why are Klal Yisrael compared to an olive? Lomar lecha, to teach you mazayis ein motzi shemano ella al yedei kasisa. Just like the olive only expresses its oil after getting crushed, af Yisrael ein chozun lamutav ella al yedei yisurin. So too, Klal Yisrael only come back to the good through yisurin, through challenges. And it seems to be a very, very difficult chazal. On the one hand, it expresses the positive that Klal Yisrael respond even when Yisurim comes. See, there are those who, when they're suffering, move further away. But Klal Yisrael don't. Klal Yisrael make sure that no matter what happens, and when they have that wake-up call, and they have the pachim punim, when they have that smack in the face, they have that difficulty that comes, it brings us closer. And it's very, very, very true. It's very true. Again, we see it. The stories that have emerged of these hostages from the most horrible, horrible situations you could possibly imagine, and emerge, and in that very darkness of that bore, of that terrible, terrible reality, emerged stronger in their connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does it mean? Only through Yisurin? That part's a little bit difficult to understand, but apparently that's going to be part of what brings Klal Yisrael back. We wax and we wane, and we have our ups and we have our downs, and it's going to be the response. Hopefully the response that we're having right now, a response that comes to difficulty, is going to bring Klal Yisrael back. But there's perhaps one more element as well. It's so beautiful ha'ara from Rav Druk in his Sefer Lahavos Ish. And he says there's a big shevach to Klal Yisrael that is incorporated in what Chazal are telling us. You see, one may have thought that there's a negative if one only responds to being hit. Because, again, it only comes out of that, but it's not something which is really there. And he points out that the comparison of the olive should be taken all the way. You see, when the crushing occurs to the olive, it doesn't create the oil, but rather it taps into something that is already there. And that is a fundamental point. The same thing is true of the Jewish people. Meaning whatever comes out is just an expression of the purity that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts inside of us. Similar to the language that the Rambam uses. The Rambam talks about somebody refusing to give a get, and ultimately we force him to do it. And why is that going to be allowed? If he said, as long as he says Rotze ani, as long as he says that he is, isn't it because of what the force that's coming on him? So the Rambam explains that no, deep down, every Jew wants to do what is right. And I think that's an important issue, because what that teaches us is that if we know that purity, if we know that connection is somewhere deep inside of us, then we can attempt to access it anytime. We don't have to wait for the ksisa. Is that going to be part of the Yisurim? Part of it? Somehow. But we don't have to wait for it, because it's not the Yisurim. It's not the difficulties that create our closeness and bring us back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's what reveals what is in there. So if we choose to, perhaps we can find ways to access that. That's the beauty of Nimshul Yisrael Zayis. Everything is there, just like inside the Zayis, the oil is there. And the Yisur is one way of bringing it out. But when we know that it's there, and the purity is there, and the oil is there, then hopefully we could tap into it without the Yisurim. Again, Rahman al we've had the Yisurim. But if we, on top of that, tap into the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's there, and with Purim coming, and Pesach right around the corner, if we use all this as the energy to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then hopefully the season ahead will be Nisim Yisrael, will be a time of Nisim for Yisrael, and Klal Yisrael who are Nimshul Zayis will see a Yeshua B'mheira V'yameinu. Amen.